Hi, Daryl and Dan.
So unmuted. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear?
No, no one's talking. Daryl, you can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, good.
I clicked on my audio and I took my video away. So, my video.
I keep hitting that thing and then nothing happens. And
Yeah.
yeah. This one, the second one, right?
Kara, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Do we have a flag?
We do.
Thank you.
I just turned it away. Yeah.
We're at 7:30 here. Ralph, Tara, if you guys are ready,
We're ready.
we have the 5 members present for the Planning Commission.
We do.
You playing the pre-recorded?
We will, yes.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township public meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. Due to the COVID-19 virus and Governor Wolf's orders limiting indoor gatherings, in-person attendance for this meeting is being limited to a maximum of 25 people who will be observing social distancing. Additionally, based upon the order of the Secretary of State's face coverings, all participants in the public meeting room are required to wear a face covering unless they fit into one of the order's exceptions. While maintaining social distance, participants may remove their face covering. Therefore, this meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Expecting to utilize the vehicle for all future public meetings during and after the COVID-19 crisis. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website and will be posted on the front of the Township building. The Township will also be recording the meeting and making it available for viewing via the Township website and YouTube channel. While every effort will be made to ensure the live streaming and website are working, East Lampeter Township takes no responsibility for and cannot be held liable for the unavailability of live streaming in part or in full due to technical issues beyond its control. Live streams and recordings of all meetings remain the property of East Lampeter Township and are protected by copyright. Access to live streams and recordings of meetings is provided for personal and non-commercial use. Video, images, and audio must not be altered, reproduced, or republished without permission of East Lampeter Township. Suggested that all participants on Zoom mute their microphone during the meeting until they wish to speak, make a motion, or vote. All votes will be taken by roll call so that they can be properly recorded. In order to accommodate public comments at this meeting, the Township will be accepting public comments in writing or via email. Instructions for the submission of public comments are available on the Township website. All those providing public comments will be required to provide their name and address in order for their comments to be read into the record. Inappropriate comments will not be read into the record. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Good evening. This is Darrell Seasholz, Chairman of the Planning Commission. Also, other members of the Planning Commission are Dan McEwen, who you see as Diane's iPad, and Sarah Ryder, Roger Rutt, and Randy Patterson. Also from the Township, present at the Township office is Ralph Hutchinson, Township Manager, and Tara Hitchens, the Director of Planning, who are present in the meeting room at the Township and giving all our technical assistance to have this meeting. So thank you. Can everybody here on the Zoom, if raise a hand, if we could all hear, we will proceed with the meeting. So with that, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And there's a flag at the Township office.
I see.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business is approval of the minutes for the February 9th Planning Commission meeting. Just a note, the copy that I have has it as February 8th, and it is February 9th at the top of the minutes, and also on the first line. Needs to be corrected from the 8th to the 9th. Are there any other comments?
Move their approval with the changes noted.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
We have a second from Roger. All those in favor, say aye by raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
So it's 5 approvals and so moved. Next item on the agenda, old business. None at this time. And moving on to new business. First item is the Plan 2021-02 campus improvements at 2250 Old Philadelphia Pike, a preliminary final subdivision and land development plan.
That's me, Steve Gergley with Harbor Engineering. This is a project land development plan for the East Lampeter Municipal Campus. I'm going to share my, Tara, am I able to share my screen?
Just 1 minute. You should be good to go now, Steve.
Thanks. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Great, thanks. So yeah, the municipal campus you're all familiar with. It stretches from Old Philadelphia Pike to Hobson Road. It's 21 acres in size. This is a project to have a new police impound lot, which will be adjacent to the salt shed near the Public Works portion of the campus. The existing impound lot is a corner of the parking area behind the municipal office building. So the impound lot will have 21 parking spaces, a small shed. Also part of this project is the covering of a recessed dumpster area. That's what constitutes this as a land development plan because it's technically considered a building. And then there's also some reworking of some of the concrete bins within the storage area. So it's a relatively straightforward plan. There is a small amount of increase in impervious surface. There is an existing detention basin to the east, which is proposed to be slightly modified to accommodate the additional impervious surface. We're modifying the orifice plate in the basin to provide some additional infiltration volume area. The rate control is still managed with the modification of the orifice. And then for the existing impound lot, that will become a standard parking lot. The fence would come down, and we're removing a small amount of impervious surface in the corner, which won't be practical for use any longer. And that'll help us manage our stormwater as well. So it's a relatively straightforward plan. We are asking for a few modifications. We're asking for a modification to waive the preliminary plan requirement. We're asking for a modification of plan scale to present the plan at 30 feet to the inch instead of 50 or 100. We're asking for a modification to not install curbing along the impound lot. It doesn't serve any purpose here because there's no pedestrian sidewalks adjacent to it. It's not a standard parking lot. It will be enclosed with a fence with barbed wire, and the stormwater is designed to sheet flow the stormwater off of the impound lot and into the adjacent swale to the detention basin. And then one additional modification that we'd like to ask for at this time is a waiver of posting financial security. And of course, that's a requirement that goes along with nearly all land development plans, but in this case, because the municipality is the client, there's really no need for them to post financial security with themselves. Did get a letter from David Miller's office. I've reviewed that with their engineer. We don't have any issues with meeting any of their comments if you'd like to make that letter of condition of approval. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I believe believe I shared with the Planning Commission members that there is no Lancaster County Planning Department review for this at this point. The David Miller Associate Review will be shared with Lancaster County Planning Department along with the plans under the MOU process.
Steve, is it intended to be one way through the proposed fenced lot? Is
It
that
is,
what,
yes.
that's what the arrows indicate? So they would pull the item or vehicle into the lot and then back it into the space?
That's my understanding, yes. And there's a sliding gate at either end to allow for movement through. But that is correct. The vehicles will be backed into these spaces.
Will there be wheel stops or wheel blocks in the spaces so that they don't back into the fence?
We weren't proposing any because it's a different situation where people will be frequently parking vehicles here. These will be parked by, I presume, the police department or a towing company or something like that. We did not propose that. I guess the question would go to Tara and Ralph and the police chief if they want curb stops or feel that that's necessary. We could add that to the plan, but it's our understanding that I don't really think it's necessary in this case due to the nature of this use. I think a lot of the vehicles that go here would stay here for quite some time.
Any other comments from the Planning Commission?
No.
Any comments from the general public? Do we have any external comments, Tara?
Also in the public meeting room.
Sorry, Tara, did you say there was somebody in the public meeting room?
There is no one in the public meeting room and there are no public comments through the email.
Okay, thank you. So as Tara mentioned, and Steve, we have a letter on March 4th from Dave Miller Associates. Steve did go through the waivers and indicated that the items in that letter, they had no issue in coming in compliance. And Tara also mentioned that the memorandum of understanding that the township has with the county will suffice for the review. So we will not have Lancaster County Planning Commission comments, which won't be necessary or needed as part of the motion. So with that, if there's no further discussion, I'll look for a motion.
This is Randy. I'll move the approval or recommendation for approval of the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan for the East Lampeter Township Municipal Campus Improvements, number 21-103.03. And with that approval, recommending approval of the request for waivers and modifications as presented in the letter, with the condition for that the requirements of a preliminary plan be provided, that we grant the request for the difference in scale size, that we grant the request not deferring, I guess, but not doing curbs along the proposed improvements and granting the request for no financial security in compliance with all other comments in the March 4th letter from David Miller Associates.
Thank you, Randy. And just a note, the number, Randy, you gave was Dave Miller's review, the township's plan number from the agenda is Plan 2021-02.
My corrected.
Thank you. And with that, I'll look for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have the motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor indicate by raising your hand and saying aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed, abstaining? We have none, so the 5 ayes have it. Thank you. So moved. Next item is Plan 2021-03, AJ Home Solutions, 33 South Eastland Drive, preliminary final subdivision and land development plan.
That's me once again. So I will share my screen. This is property 33 South Eastland Drive. It's just over 1 acre in size on the east side of South Eastland Drive. It contains an existing residence, which is in disrepair. It's been vacant for some time. Our clients are proposing to subdivide this lot into 3 properties. Lots 1 and 2 will front onto South Eastland Drive with a reduced lot frontage as granted from the zoning hearing board back in the fall. It'll be 2 semi-detached dwelling units. One will have an access drive onto South Eastland Drive, the other one directly onto South Eastland Drive. The other one will share a driveway with the proposed lot number 3, which is 29,000 square feet in size, and that will contain a single family dwelling to the rear portion of the lot. So we received 2 variances for this. One is for the reduced lot frontage along South Eastland Drive. The other variance was for lot 3 to actually exceed the maximum permitted lot size in the R3 or R2 zoning district of 12,000 square feet. So we have a shared driveway for lots 2 and 3. These lots will be connected to public utilities, public water and sewer. We're working through those approvals currently. And we're managing stormwater with a number of infiltration best management practices on each lot. There are 2. Each of the semi-detached dwellings will have the roof areas go to subsurface stone infiltration and seepage beds. Lot number 3 will have the roof area going to a subsurface bed as well, and then a small surface infiltration area, bioretention basin. We are asking for a few modifications associated with this plan as well. We're asking for the waiver of preliminary plan processing. We're asking for the plan scale requirement. This particular plan is shown at 20 feet to the inch instead of 50 or 100. And we're asking for modifications related to the road frontage improvements for South Eastland Drive. There's 3 different modifications, but they're all deferral requests, one for road widening, one for curbing, and one for sidewalks. We're asking to defer that, and our client is willing to execute the standard township deferral agreement. On the basis that South Eastland Drive, they're widening it and improving it in just this small section at this time doesn't make a lot of sense for, I think, the township or the surrounding residents. We're also asking for a modification of the stormwater loading ratios for 2 of the facilities to exceed the 5-to-1 maximum in a karst area, and those are recommended by our project geologist. We have a letter from David Miller Associates. Again, I've reviewed that letter with the township engineer. We don't have any concerns with addressing any of the technical comments in that letter. So with that, we can answer any questions about this plan. Oh, we also got a county review letter as well, and their comments were pertaining to the comprehensive plan, and they had two comments basically indicating that this plan is in compliance with their objectives by providing infill development and utilizing public utilities.
Steve, are you using the alignment of one of the existing driveway entrance for one of those driveways, or are you replacing both of them?
We're replacing both of them. It's kind of a loop road, loop driveway right now. It's in poor condition, so we're proposing two new driveways.
The existing structure that's on the site, that's to be removed.
It is, yes.
So you're pretty much stripping the entire site and starting with a vacant lot
Correct.
for what you're showing proposed here.
Mhm. And the existing lot is, the existing dwelling is very close to the property line. In fact, part of it's just a couple of feet off the property line. So our proposed development will be in compliance with all the setback and lot coverage requirements.
So the two new units that face southeastland will be joined together. Will they be stepped down? Because there is considerable slope on that lot from where the new driveway is considerably lower to the two lots, to the flag lot and the lot adjacent to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
they're grading, okay.
We'll have the same first floor elevation, but you're right, there is a fair amount of fall. So we were taking up grade with a portion of the house on the northern side. And then for the lot to the south, we have a small retaining wall to help match grade, to help preserve the rear areas and allow the stormwater to function. So grade does fall off. It'll be in cut and it'll drop off from the existing house to the north. It'll come down about 5 feet and then have the floor elevations will be equal. We thought the two houses would probably look more appropriate if they had the same elevation rather than dramatically step those down. And then there will be a grade fall again to the shared driveway between lots 2 and 3.
Okay. So the garage on the southern unit is garage level or basement level as opposed to first floor, or?
It's first floor level.
Oh, it is first, okay.
Yeah, they're both at first floor level.
Any questions or comments from the Planning Commission?
Just one, Steve, I think I read it. You are having an access agreement between the owners of lot 2 and 3?
Yes, we haven't submitted that yet, but we'll prepare that as part of the plan.
Okay.
The house on lot 2, where's the entrance to the house on that? The front door. I'm just trying to, is that where the X? Yes. Off
Yeah.
rectangle.
Yeah, it would be oriented towards the street. It would be in from the front, and then the garage would be to the rear.
Okay, just the other house shows like a sidewalk leading there, and this one doesn't show anything. I just
From the driveway, yeah. We've accounted for some additional impervious surface for each of the lots to allow for things like walkways and patios. Our client, we gave them the general parameters of what would fit on the lots, but until they're actually submitted for building permits, those sort of details usually get flushed out at that point. But we've accounted for the additional impervious surface to allow for walkways.
Yeah, so that'll look like a front of the house there.
Yeah. We thought this configuration would make more sense. We don't necessarily have to do it this way, but we talked to our clients and talked to township staff. And from an access management standpoint on the southeastland drive, well, each of these lots could have driveways. In effect, you'd have 3 driveways very close to one another. And we thought it might fit the neighborhood and be a little bit better access management to limit that to 2 driveways. And that's why we've oriented it the way that we have.
Any other comments from Planning Commission? Any comments from the general public or email?
No comments.
Daryl, I have a question if I may.
Certainly, thank you.
Steve, related to the proposed deferral of the frontage improvements, have you actually designed what those frontage improvements would look like?
One of the comments, Ralph, was to make sure that we account for stormwater management for the widening and the curbing and the sidewalks. So we're currently working through that right now. I don't think we prepared a grading plan to show what that would look like necessarily.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was, both the stormwater and the grading issue. I'm wondering how much change in grading will be necessary at the time when the improvements are actually done, and whether or not that could be done now while the grading's going on.
I think realistically, and I can zoom in here a little bit, with the grade fall that was mentioned earlier along the front of the property, you know, we have a bit of an embankment here outside of the right of way. I think realistically, if curb and sidewalk were to go in here, it would be part of a larger, maybe comprehensive project, and then some grading would also be done along the right of way in front of the property to the north to better accommodate that. You probably get a curb and sidewalk in right now, but then with the widening, pushing that back, it does get into the existing hillside that's, or small embankment that's in front of the homes here.
To follow with that, Steve, well, you're introducing some new inlets with the storm, because you are putting that raised asphalt on this, I guess it's what, south side of the new access drive for the two properties?
We are, yeah.
You're channeling the water down to an inlet and then going out. Will that create any, you're actually not going into an inlet, you're going into riprap?
No, so that's a good point. So when we looked at the stormwater, all the water comes through the site from north to south. It goes to the adjoining property to the south, and then it hits the existing stormwater system in South Eastland Drive, and then it heads to the west. And that's this inlet here. And there's an existing 18-inch pipe that runs north-south along the east side of Eastland Drive. So when we ran our calculations, we can make the pre-development, post-development work the way we have shown. The roof areas go to the seepage pits. The roof area of lot 3 goes to a seepage pit, and then we have this facility which captures this water. So a lot of this water could theoretically bypass and get into the inlet on South Eastland Drive, and I think we would meet the pre-post obligations. What we wanted to do was create this channel along the south side of the access drive to catch this water, just to avoid any additional, well, we wouldn't have any additional water, but even the perception of additional water flowing onto the neighboring property to the south from any new impervious surfaces. Even though our calculations would justify that the pre-post rates are met, we thought that would be the better approach. So we took that water out to the street. We set an inlet prior to the street, which is here, and then we're setting another inlet in the right of way. So we'll capture all of our driveway undetained water, put it in an inlet. We'll have another inlet on South Eastland Drive, and then that'll just go into the same conveyance system that the water currently goes to now.
Well,
So we thought that was a better, like, practical approach in addition to just meeting the pre-development versus post-development rate control and volume control requirements. That should also help with some of the gutter flows along South Eastland Drive. That was one of the comments in the David Miller letter that we're looking at, is analyzing the gutter flow along the driveway. But by virtue of the addition of this inlet, that's gonna it's gonna help that situation.
Yeah, the topography of the site, especially where the new road is rather irregular, I guess I'll say, and disturbed, and a lot of items setting around, and also towards the back of the property for the flag lot, there's some large trees that will probably be removed, which probably help with the runoff. There, you're not going to have those, I don't believe. I imagine you're going to lose most, if not all, those trees. which do retain a lot of the rainwater before it even gets to the ground. And you adding the roadway, which I presume that's going to be paved, so that's going to have more runoff. But yeah, it could generate more runoff during a storm than currently. I think there's just probably some pockets on the site that hold water unintentionally, but just have developed over the years from settlement and disturbance of things that have been stored or moved there.
Yeah, perhaps, but we are trying to keep that. We are keeping the larger trees. There's 12-inch caliper, 24-inch caliper tree, and the other trees are around the periphery. So there's no large trees in the area of the single-family house that are going to be removed as part of this project.
Oh, any other comments?
None from me.
If not, and Randy, where you mentioned about the driveway, shared driveway easement, that was item 2 under the subdivision, which was recommended. So if that's of concern, that may be, depending who makes the motion, an item that you may want to identify. With that, I'll look for a motion. Oh, well, one final. We do have a review also from Lancaster County dated March 1st. With basically no comments. There's a commentary on the site design to add the LCPC file number, and has indicated that the project is consistent with the growing responsibilities. So we do have a review from the county dated March 1st. So with that, I'll look for a motion. So
I'll make another attempt, Daryl.
Thank you.
So I'll move that we recommend to the Board of Supervisors the approval of 2021-03 at 33 South Eastland Drive subdivision and land development plan. Included in that recommendation is the recommendation that the waivers and modifications requested 1 through 7 be granted with conditions as presented in the letter from David Miller. And just to highlight the need for a recorded easement agreement for the access and maintenance for the driveway access back to lot 3, adjoining lot 2. And since there were no comments from the Planning Commission other than adding the LCPC file number, nothing to add from that part. And the agreement to meet all other conditions in the letter of David Miller Associates dated February 23rd, 2021.
Thank you, Randy. And we have the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have the motion and second. Any discussion? And I just have one note, under the waivers and modifications, I believe it's a typo in item 5, where they're recommending deferral of the curbing requirements. I believe that's to be sidewalk. I'll understand that to be sidewalk and not curbing. You're not getting curbs deferred twice. So, and that was the intent of that comment, but, and I believe Randy's motion as well.
Yes.
So if there's no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please acknowledge and raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Abstaining? The motion passes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Next item is the Plan 2021-07 High Associates, the Ben Franklin Boulevard Subdivision Plan.
Good evening. This is Tony Seitz with High Associates, and I'd like to just offer a few introductory comments before turning to Dave Miller from Ratu, who will describe the subdivision plan in more detail. But we appreciate the Planning Commission's hearing this application this evening. The purpose of this subdivision plan is to establish the right-of-way for Ben Franklin Boulevard. Ben Franklin Boulevard, as you probably know, is a part of the Walnut Street Extension project, and it is an important part of that project. I think, Dave, are you going to pull up the concept plan to provide a little bit of context?
Could I get permission to share a screen, please?
Have it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to put this subdivision plan in context with regard to the Walnut Street Extension project before Dave introduces the parts. And what you're looking at now is the most current concept plan for the Walnut Street Extension. It is a continuation of Walnut Street through the interchange with Route 30. As it leaves the interchange going from south to north, where you see Dave's cursor, it becomes a one-lane road in each direction, so single lane in each direction through this PennDOT right-of-way, this section of PennDOT right-of-way. You're looking at about a mile, a little over a mile of new road construction within the PennDOT right-of-way. Important features of the project include the trail outlined in blue, a section of the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway that was a part of the active transportation plan adopted by the county, adopted by East Lampeter Township and other jurisdictions. Dave is tracing the arc of that trail right away with his cursor. That, of course, follows the road. It is being designed and permitted, fully permitted, with the intent to construct it at the same time concurrently with the Walnut Street Extension project. Other key feature is the bridge over Millcross Road. That bridge will, as you can see from Dave's cursor, is going to carry the trail over Millcross Road. So it will be wide enough to accommodate both the road section and the trail. Moving to the north, you see the roundabout, but still within the PennDOT right-of-way, and just to the north of that is a trailhead for the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway. And that really is the extent of the project. The project continues no further to the north of that trailhead. It stops at that point. The roadway project stops essentially at the right-of-way. The little stretch between the roundabout and the parking lot is simply to access that parking lot. Moving to the east, you see basically where the right-of-way, the PennDOT right-of-way transitions to private property, to high property. And that is where the Ben Franklin Boulevard extension begins. We are not, as part of this project, modifying in any way the PennDOT limited access right-of-way. So once the project leaves that limited access right-of-way, it will become Township Road. And the purpose of this subdivision plan tonight is to create the right-of-way to establish that the dedication for that Township Road, that section of Ben Franklin Boulevard. The project itself, just some final kind of global comments before I turn to Dave. The project design is completing at a very productive and pace, very much on schedule, and very much in cooperation with Township staff who have been working with us at every step in this project. So that is moving along at a good pace. And in order to fully permit this project, we have to demonstrate to PennDOT that all of the right-of-way for the project is secured and ready to accommodate the transportation features. And that's really what we're about tonight, creating that right-of-way for Ben Franklin Boulevard. So Dave, with that introductory comment or a series of comments, I'll turn to you to walk through the details of the plan.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So this subdivision plan, as Tony alluded to, provides for the right-of-way for Ben Franklin Boulevard as part of the Walnut Street Extension project. There are no improvements associated with this plan. It is simply to provide that right-of-way. Also, pedestrian easements for the future walkway and trail that will be associated with the Walnut Street Extension project. And this trail will connect to the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway trail within the PennDOT right-of-way. Also, this intersection, upon improvement, will be signalized, and so there are traffic signal easements that are associated with this subdivision plan. There is an existing detention basin on this site that serves the PA College of Health Sciences, which is on Lot 2 here, as well as for future development of Lot 1, which is vacant at this point. And this plan proposes to put a stormwater management easement around that existing basin. And then finally, I'll scroll up to the existing conditions. Right now, the PA College of Health Sciences Lot 2 extends over toward Pitney Road here in the back, which is west. And then Lot 1 is this parcel here. When this is separated, bifurcated by the right-of-way, this area, which is the existing detention basin, will be joined with Lot 1. And so this subdivision plan accomplishes that. It eliminates this lot line, consolidates these properties into one lot. Lot 2 for the PA College is this lot, and then the right-of-way for the Township Road, Ben Franklin Boulevard, is through here. And this lines up with the existing driveway to the PA College, and also across from Ben Franklin Boulevard, across it from Greenfield Road. These are in alignment. I'm going to flip back to a concept plan. It's easier to look at for our discussion. So this is the proposed roadway, pedestrian path shown in blue, and signal easements for the proposed signals through here. We have a letter from David Miller Associates dated March 3rd, and listed in that letter are the waiver or deferral requests. If you are okay with that, I can go through those requests now, unless you have other comments before I go through that list.
I just had one question. at the intersection there with Greenfield Road, at one point there you were possibly considering a roundabout there. Have you ruled that out?
Yes, at this point, the indicators are the traffic signal would be warranted for that intersection. So we have the roundabout right off of the extension, but a signal would be is the best option for this intersection.
And the reasoning for that,
I think it was a combination of the footprint, the large footprint of the roundabout at that intersection would make things very, very tight at that location. We felt the roundabout was a much better fit for the transition between Walnut Street, the extension, and Ben Franklin Boulevard. It really made sense in that location where we had the room to develop it properly. But with the different traffic volumes and the room that we had to work with at Greenfield and Ben Franklin, we felt the signal was a better option. And the reviewing agencies agreed with that.
yeah. At where the bicycle path crosses Ben Franklin there, is there going to be like a flashing light type thing when pedestrians approach that, or how's that? Is pedestrians have the right of way type thing, or is it traffic at the right of way, or how's that handled there? That's right at the roundabout where the bicycle path crosses Ben Franklin. Right there, right where you're going.
Right at that location.
Yeah. Is how's that handle? I know some places like up in Lidditz where by their park, they have like a flashing light that kind of lets the traffic, and the traffic is indicated they should stop for people to cross there. Yeah, I didn't know if that's what you were planning for something there or not.
I don't think we have a light at that location.
I'm not saying a light necessary, but a flashing.
No, I understand. Yeah, there will certainly be some type of safety feature. I completely get where you're going, but I don't have a firm answer on that yet.
And I guess the bike path is something that's down the road anyways. You're going to be developing the Ben Franklin first extension, or is it going to?
No, actually, they'll be the goal is very much to construct the trail, the Greater Lancaster Heritage Path, and the road at the same time. So the plan is to construct them at the same time. Fully permit them. They're being fully designed, fully permitted to be built concurrently.
Okay, this is from the paper. It sounded like maybe the funding wasn't available for the trail yet. Where, that might be a different timing.
Everyone's still working on that.
Okay.
So following that line of question, the parking lot past the roundabout is specifically for the trail?
That's correct. It's designed as a trailhead. Yes.
Okay. And just so access then from the parking lot to the trail, that the trail presumably is a paved trail, the parking lot is paved. It appears it might now be over a grass area to access it, unless you actually go on the highway or the roadway down to the roundabout. I'm not sure what's, it appears there's a fence around it with an opening. I think where you were just showing where those two dark lines are, which appear to be handicap parking, but I believe, but I'm not sure how you get from the parking lot to the trail unless you go on the roadway.
Yes, there's a crosswalk, and then these aisles would be available. And it is a little harder to see, but these are paved connections to the trail itself. So there is a paved access up the parking lot.
Yeah, it appears that access may be part of the handicap spots.
But it's striped, so these would remain open. The parking would occur in the actually parking spaces, and then these aisles would remain open.
I also see that parking area is potentially a park and ride lot for people to meet and then travel downtown. So I don't know how that can be addressed other than signage and honor system, but people could meet there and then shoot right in on this extension to downtown. Be very convenient. And there are several spaces there, so it almost looks like a park and ride lot. and not bike ride, but yeah.
We've coordinated with the township and staff and David Miller at every stage in the conceptual. We're well past conceptual design, but at every stage in the layout design of that parking facility. So, we've basically what you see reflects the comments that we've gotten from the township up to this point.
Mhm.
Is there any?
Would be used, Daryl, even if it would be used in the nature that you're suggesting, that would typically be at hours that others may not use the actual trail facility for recreational purposes. And look, getting one less car off the roadway
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to it.
is a positive.
Yeah. Until it continues further east, this would just be trail to downtown. And I wasn't opposed to it. I was just commenting and wondering if that had been thought about as a potential park and ride, because it is large and convenient. But thank you.
Yeah, I think that happens a little bit up at Salunga at the Junction Trail. There's a nice parking spot there, and I think some of those people are possibly, sharing rides up to Harrisburg or something. Yeah, possibly. I don't know, but I would guess that would be it. The other question I have: would there be any? Have you provided anything for a restroom facility or anything like that? Because a lot of these railheads usually have some porta potties and everything. Of course, they're pretty ugly looking, but if there's something that could be provided there.
Dan,
What's that?
we're just not at that point as to what facilities will be at the trailhead.
Okay, but is it something they would be considering, I guess?
I think very different options, varied options will be considered for the trailhead.
And I'm just curious for the parking lot, is that only being accessed from Ben Franklin Boulevard, or can you access that from Willow as well?
Only from Ben Franklin
yeah.
Boulevard and Walnut Street
And Walnut
extension.
Street.
Got it.
We're certainly interested in the planning commission's thoughts on the design for the Greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway and Walnut Street and all that. I just want to remind you that this plan has nothing to do whatsoever with the design of those facilities.
Yes. Yeah, we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. But it's hard not to comment given
Understood.
how it's presented to us. So thank you. So with that, Dave, if you'd like to move forward, there we do have the March 3rd letter from Dave Miller and Associates. You were going to address the waivers and modifications, which are several.
Right. Right, and I think that the key to this discussion is that no physical improvements are associated with this subdivision plan that's in front of you this evening. And going through the review letter with the waivers, the first one is to request a waiver of preliminary plan requirements. And because of the simple nature of this project, and by the way, all of these waivers and deferrals are recommended for approval in this DMA letter. With the condition, this first one, preliminary plan, with the condition that all the requirements for preliminary plans are shown on these plans. So we have no issue with that. The second request is for financial security because there are no physical improvements associated. There's really nothing to secure with finances. The third request is for plan scale. We've selected a plan scale that allows to show the entire site on one sheet. Number 4 is related to typical street cross sections. And again, this plan does not propose a street. It's providing the right of way. And so those details will be are part of the HOP plans, which are being shared with the township per the statement in the review letter. The item number 5 is related to showing final plan supporting information, which is contours and physical features and such. And we are asking a deferral of that until this vacant property, lot 1, when that goes through for development, for land development, then all those things would be addressed at that time. And we're open to, we will provide deferral agreements as needed for these deferral requests. Number 6 is related to improvements of existing perimeter streets, which would be Greenfield Road and Pitney Road. Again, we're asking for deferral of those improvements for when lot 1 is developed, when at that time we'll know better what the appropriate improvements would be. Number 7 is related to the right-of-way and cartway for Ben Franklin Boulevard. A collector road would typically have a 60-foot right-of-way and a 36-foot cartway. The right-of-way is a variable width depending on, you can see the variation and with the median through the center and the turning lane as we approach Greenfield Road. So it's a variable width right-of-way with a minimum width of 47 feet. And the cartway is 30 feet minimum. And that is where we have the boulevard type median through here, 15-foot lanes each side of the median. So again, the cartway, the right-of-way are designed according to accommodate the proposed and the actual roadway itself, and those are recommended by the DMA letter as well. Number 7 is in reference to sidewalks along both sides of the street. I'm sorry, number 8 would be reflective of curbing, again, associated with the existing streets curbing of Greenfield and Pitney. We're asking for that to be deferred, again, until lot 1 land development plans are submitted. Number 9 is the same. The ordinance would require sidewalks along existing streets. We're asking for that to defer until Lot 1. Land development plans are submitted.
And Dave, the same
And-
there on, excuse me, the typo in there says deferral of curbing, and it should be deferral of sidewalks. And comment 9. I believe that's a typo on the part of our engineer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, the intent is for sidewalks on that comment. And that the second paragraph is related to the actual Ben Franklin Boulevard improvements. Whereas the ordinance would require a sidewalk on both sides, we are proposing a 10-foot wide pedestrian path on one side. And so that is to accommodate the pedestrian traffic, non-motorized vehicles that would access the greater Lancaster Heritage Pathway. So one wider pathway is better than 2 smaller ones in this case. So we're asking for a waiver for that particular case, and the letter is asking for an easement agreement, and that is that's certainly intended. This plan itself shows an easement, pedestrian sidewalk easement for that pathway. Number 10 it is for the monuments and markers that would be required for this right of way and any lot line changes. Again, we would like to defer that until the time of lot 1 land development, when post-construction and post-dedication of any right of ways, that those monuments could be set at that time. And then number 11 is just a request to list those modifications, and if and when they get approved, to list those on the plans, which we certainly do. And the remainder of the letter, there are zoning comments and saldo comments. We have no issues with addressing these. The comment number 2 on zoning, which talks about the crosswalks be shown where pedestrian easements cross the existing school access drives, and which is, there's 1 and 2 here. Again, there are no improvements being associated with this plan, so there's at this time there's no sidewalk to put the crosswalks on, but certainly in the plan, on the construction plans, the permit plans, there are crosswalks provided in those areas. So we are providing those crosswalks, but not on this subdivision plan. They will be constructed when they'll be installed when the road is constructed. So with that, we're asking for a recommendation for final plan approval and a recommendation to approve the waivers and the deferrals if you see fit.
Hey, Dave, under the subdivision and land development, comment 3, and also the drawings, it appears that this proposed right-of-way, which I understand is the subject of this submission, doesn't align with the center line of the existing Ben Franklin Boulevard.
It does, and the reason it looks a little different is because of the turning lanes that are proposed. So the through lanes coming from Ben Franklin from the east and crossing, they are in alignment, and then it's bumped out a little bit because of the right turn lanes onto Greenfield. Ben Franklin East will have a left turn lane installed. So graphically, they look a little bit, and yeah, so graphically at this point, they look a little bit different, but they are aligned.
Okay, I guess the issue was there wasn't a center line, and I guess the edge of maybe the existing drive appears to be, might be read as the center line, which I think I may have done, but there's not, I guess, an actual center line shown for the new roadway. If I'm correct on that.
Right. Right, and we can certainly add that center line, but the center lines are not necessarily indicative of the striping. You can see on this, the center line is actually in the middle of the left turn lane. So obviously it's the striping that is of the greatest importance.
Okay.
You
David,
can see the through lanes going from the new Ben Franklin across, they're in alignment as well. And then
David-
the left turn lanes are across from each other.
can you explain, just help me understand, on the east side of the boulevard, you have a sidewalk and trail easement B, a sidewalk and trail easement C, but you're only having the pathway on the east side of the boulevard. What are those two easements for on the east side?
Yeah, those in the ultimate condition, there will be crosswalks from the pedestrian trail for those accessing the college. And so those will, there'll be sidewalk here to tie into this sidewalk, crosswalks, I'm sorry, and sidewalk here to tie into this sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
David, on 8 and 9, do you have any problems with redefining the lot numbers on those? There was a question whether
Yeah,
6.
yeah, that's, there were two nomenclatures kind of going on simultaneously. They recorded the county plans, call this lot 1. And so for simplicity's sake and to eliminate confusion, we are calling this line 1, and there's a couple places, I believe in our cover sheet of the plans that still reference lot 6. So that's something that we will correct and make consistent to lot 1.
If you would, Dave, just so we are all on the same page, this is a request to get approval for the right-of-way. And then you indicated that the actual Cartway will be part of the HOP. And so just for clarification, I mean, the HOP, from my limited knowledge, is the connection to the state highway. The state highway on the Walnut, on the Walnut Street extension. How much does PennDOT require for this roadway that'll actually then end up being dedicated to the township? I mean, does that go entirely to PennDOT for their review and approval, or is that just for the connection, if you will, to the circle at the end of the extension? I mean, will the township see this for review and approval in a formal way, or is it only in an informal way that this may come to us? Because some of what you're looking for here is a lesser right-of-way width than what's specified in the township for a collector, being 60 feet. And you're saying the minimum's 47. I'm not sure what the maximum is, but the minimum's 47. So it is considerably less than the township requirement of 60. And at what point will the township opportunity, if we approve this as presented, then we're limiting ourselves and granting, a modification or a waiver to our requirements as they exist now.
Well, so we're asking for a formal waiver at this point. Ben Franklin Boulevard will be a township road, will be dedicated to the township. So we are asking a waiver of the township requirements for the curb, for the right-of-way width. and for the Cartway width.
Okay.
And PennDOT and it's gone to this level of reviews. And what we are providing here is adequate for the intended traffic and the intended and future needs for the roadway.
Well, if I understood you, the curbing and sidewalk and that request for a deferral was for Pitney and Greenfield. But there's no request
Right, those requests
to address the
for
actual,
sections that require, I'm sorry.
but that request does not include the actual pavement that'll be part of this, that'll be built in this right of way. I mean, at what point will the township have an opportunity, other than informally, you show the township the plan that you submit to PennDOT? Is PennDOT going to, will that submission for the HOP include the entire length plus the connection to Greenfield Road?
It will.
Dave, if you could briefly, in response to Darrell's question, refer back to modification number 4 and just talk about the overall process of the HOP plans. And that's, I think, where the confusion is coming up, because the HOP plans will not only deal with the Walnut Street extension, but also the design of Ben Franklin Boulevard from Walnut Street to its intersection with Greenfield Road. And both staff and Dave Miller Associates have been involved with a lot of the planning to date. And the recommendation from Dave Miller Associate is to see those plans as they progress through the actual engineering process.
Right, the HOP plans cover the entire project, which is the Walnut Street extension and the Ben Franklin Boulevard. So these are all part of the same plans that are being reviewed by PennDOT and also provided to the township, and all part of one permit.
Yeah, I was beginning, if I could just add to that does include the trail as well. I want to be real clear about that. So everything that you see on that concept plan is part of what we call the HOP plans. And yes, the HOP permit involves the connection, the physical connection to the state facilities, but the HOP plans are going to involve the design of all those features. And Mark is absolutely right. We've coordinated from the outset with the township, with Dave Miller, with the project stakeholders. All the waiver requests that you've seen have been a subject of discussion for a long time to this point. And we're absolutely committed that the township will have the full plan set to review. And I know the focus of the township is going to be Ben Franklin Boulevard and what we've been discussing tonight.
I guess my concern was, and Mark took us back to 4, is that last 2 words of comment only. We can review it and comment. And I guess my concern is historically, to my knowledge, the township has not always been in agreement with PennDOT. And I think that's across the board. It's not just us, but PennDOT has their way. And that was just my concern, that the township would have the opportunity to review with some level of approval necessary to move forward with the Ben Franklin Parkway or Ben Franklin Boulevard extension.
Darrell, and Ralph and Tara can jump in, but Tony at several of the presentations has stressed the public-private partnership involved with this project. And PennDOT is relying, I think, to a great degree on the township's comments with respect to the components of this project, and also specifically with respect to Ben Franklin Boulevard. And we'll continue to work with the township and township staff to make sure that the comments of the township are included in the review process of these plans as they move forward.
Thank you. Dave, as you had mentioned, the existing stormwater basin on the northwest side of Lot 1 now serves the school property, but it will also serve this. So does that create any issue? Because there's about a 3 to 4 acre change in the acreage of the school property that's reduced. Is there any issue with the lot coverage, impervious percentages?
No, we still follow the requirements for impervious coverage with the new lot lines.
Okay.
So we did evaluate it based on the proposed condition.
Okay, because that does make a change to Lot 2, which is the school property. It does create new boundaries from what the recorded plan was previously. And now this drainage basin will serve both Lot 1 and 2. Now there will be an easement, but I don't know who's responsible for that. Right now, both Lot 1 and 2 are owned by the same owner. But in the future, if there's a change of that, there may be some need for an understanding of who's responsible for what, and whether that should be noted as either part of this process, because this process is making a change to the lot size of the present, what's labeled here as Lot 2.
Right, and that's the nature of creating this easement, is to put that responsibility on the owner or any future owner for maintenance of that facility.
Okay, but that will now become part of Lot 1. So they're responsible for the basin for Lot 2. And I know it's the same owner now, but as we look forward, we never know what may change. And if the ownership changes, how that's addressed. And then the other, from my end, the other concern is if the owner doesn't maintain it, then it defaults to the township. And I'm at present, I have no concern of the maintenance with the present owner.
Thank you.
Yeah, what may happen in the future is, yes, always looking ahead. And there is a change
Filled
here.
out on not only the easement, but the operation and maintenance agreement that will go with that.
Yes. Yeah, there is the easement out. Yeah, just understood that the O&M is also part of that agreement. So I don't know if the township needs to take a look at that further. If something needs to be drawn up or addressed in regards to the responsibility for that, since it will serve both Lot 1 and 2. Are there other comments or concerns? I will note that we have not received comments from the Lancaster County Planning Commission and/or department, depending on exactly where they're at with their review. So any concerns they may have will need to be addressed before final approval, if they have any. I'm hearing none from the Planning Commission. Any from general public or email?
Else.
So if no further discussion, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. Plan number 21-10307, Ben Franklin Boulevard, right away. The client agreed that they could come into compliance with the waivers and modifications. And on numbers 8 and 9, they will update the lot designations on those two concerns. The other thing is we have not received a county planning commission review. So any review will need to be updated with their comments.
And Roger, just for yours, since you noted 8 and 9, comment is 10 also has the issue of the lot number.
Okay.
Since you pointed those two out, it would be, I assume you want it for all three.
Yes, item number 10 to correct the lot designations on that comment also.
And then the plan number is 2021-07. The review number from Dave Miller's letter. Dave, you cited, Roger. So we have a motion. I'll look
The
for it.
motion is to recommend approval of the subdivision subject to the 3-3 David Miller Associates review letter. Recommending approval of the waivers and modifications with a deferral agreement. And any Lancaster County Planning Department review. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I'm not, just a clarification, you're saying deferral agreement, there may be more than one agreement depending on the issues. If that's okay, Roger.
Yes.
Second.
And we have a second from Randy. Any discussions on that motion? If I may, Roger, would you have any concern with the easement and the township looking at the potential need for some type of agreement for that easement, since the lot, it serves both lots and is only located on the new lot 1?
Yes.
Yes, you.
Add that. Okay, because of the lot 1 and 2 change, there should be an easement update because of the smaller footprint on lot 1, correct?
Smaller
We
footprint.
would agree to
Lot.
address that with the new O&M agreement as part of the subdivision plan.
Yeah, Darrell, I was going to say, based on what Tara said, the operations and maintenance agreement will cover that issue of ongoing maintenance of that easement, of that drainage basin.
Okay. Yeah, and what I was referring to, and I'm thinking Roger is that the township look at the need for that, and if any further discussions needed, which may be the O&M will satisfy it. So, right. So with that minor adjustment, we had the motion and a second. All those in favor of the motions answer affirmatively and raise their hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? None. Thank you. And thank you, Dave Miller, for a very thorough presentation. We appreciate your assistance, and we'll move forward. So thank you. And
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank you, everyone.
That was the last of the new business on the agenda. We move to briefing items. First item is the Plan 2021-05 Lancaster Lincoln Highway East Land Development Plan for 2246 Lincoln Highway, which is the old Pizza Hut. Do we have somebody briefing us on that item?
Come up on, be shared on your screen momentarily. Does everyone see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is, as Daryl said, the former Pizza Hut site on Lincoln Highway. And it is slated to become Popeye's Chicken Fast Food Restaurant with a drive-through. This did go to zoning hearing board for multiple variances on the site. As one might guess, lot coverage was one of them. It already exceeds lot coverage. The building square footage is slightly changed, as you can see, as you come around the drive-through area to the drive-through window. So that portion of the building there juts out, but the rear portion of the building is actually less than what's currently on site. Right now, the Pizza Hut has a number of freezer additions in the rear of the property there. So reconfiguration of parking area, as you can see with the drive-through. And then we are still looking at the possibility of connecting access to the neighboring property, which is 2232 Lincoln Highway East, which is the former Star Buffet. So you'll see this next month for a recommendation to move forward to the Board of Supervisors.
So we are looking at connecting it to the adjoining property. Are they looking at connecting it?
Well, it is part of the 2232 Lincoln Highway East plan to connect to the neighboring property. We do need to look at the circulation on this site comparatively to that site and whether or not that is still justified.
If we get
Or
that
whether-
connection, if we
sorry.
get that connection, does that then allow us to get out to one of the traffic signals on the Lincoln Highway?
At this moment, it would not. There was another opportunity that was being looked at by 2232 and the adjoining Arby's to the west, and then connection to Tanger Outlets. There is another opportunity possibly to connect 2232 and 2246, this site, to the Lancaster Family Resort. However, we don't have all parties involved at this point.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Kara, I'm just curious. It looks like, it doesn't look like there's too many parking spaces on this site. Was that one of the variances that they received?
I don't believe that was one of the variances they received.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sarah, this came in a little while ago, so, and there were quite a number of them. I think because of the number of seating and the square footage, I don't think it called for
Okay.
parking variance. But I will get you that answer for certain at the next meeting.
Okay.
Both accesses out onto on the Lincoln Highway, are they both in and out, and they can cross to the west from there?
They are not both in and out, Dan. Actually, it
Okay.
is in on the western side and out on the eastern side.
Okay, I just wasn't sure of what they were showing there. Okay, but is it right turn only on the out, or can you left turn onto Lincoln Highway there? I guess you probably will be.
Yeah, at this point, it is a full turning movement on the exit.
Mhm.
Any other comments?
Oh,
If not, and any from the general public? If not,
And
we'll
on
move-
these items tonight, Mr. Seesholtz, this is just briefing item.
Yes. Next item for briefing is 2106 Lloyd Miller, 679 Hartman Station Road. Land development plan.
So this is the Landis Foods property on Hartman Station. There's an existing building on the property with an underground stormwater system. Proposed is approximately a 3,100 square foot building in the front of the property that would connect to the existing parking area on the property with a loading dock on the north side. So a number of years ago, before my time here, there was a plan that included an additional building in the front of the property here. That plan has lapsed, and therefore they're coming back in with this proposal at this time. Again, you'll see this for recommendation at the next meeting in April.
was that plan approved, Tara?
I'm so sorry.
Was that plan approved? It just, its approval lapsed?
It was at that time. Yes, approved.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? If not, we'll move on to the third briefing item, conditional use application for 2601 Lincoln Highway.
On the screen now is the plot plan for 2601 Lincoln Highway East, which is coming in as a conditional use application. Right now, you can see the existing buildings on the property. As we scroll down on this plan, you'll see the proposal includes an addition of another barn structure towards the north of the property. The proposal is to use the property under the historic overlay district. With your packets, you should have received the entire application that was presented to the township. This will come to your April 13th Planning Commission meeting for a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, as they will hold a hearing on April 19th at 5:30 regarding this conditional use application. The use on the site will be for the Quarry View Building Group, which is currently located along Hartman Station. So we'll have full presentation at the next meeting on April 13th.
And to refresh me, Tara, this is just for comment by the Planning Commission, or do we take action on a recommendation?
On April 13th, you'll take action on a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. With that historic overlay, are any of these structures designated by federal government, state government, or any entity that they are historic?
That's something that the applicant will need to show during the conditional use.
Okay, I mean, I did not read everything you sent on this. I skimmed it. I didn't see that addressed by them. And if not, then I don't know that it even qualifies for a historic overlay if none of these structures are deemed historic by an entity that qualifies to identify historic structures.
That's a question you can ask at your next meeting.
Okay.
There is information, Darrell, in the application related to the historic nature of the properties. I think they're contributing to the district.
Yeah, that's I think I saw some of that, and that's an opinion by an individual who has some credibility as an individual, but not as an approving agency, if you will, for historic designation.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back to see. I think the one of them is if it's in our comp plan, if within the comp plan it is identified as historic, and I didn't get to check that. So that's on me right now, or on us, to determine if in our comp plan it's identified as historic, which is one means by which it could qualify. But I didn't pick up, yeah, and we may have seen the same thing. I think there's a Mr. Scott, or I think was individually referenced as speaking to the historic nature, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's an architect in Lancaster. There is information, I think, in the other document that Tara provided related to the Historical Commission review of the property and the buildings on the property as well.
Okay. Thank you. And some of the other work that Tara gave us is the history from some 5-6 years ago. And back then the area was designated rural. It is now designated agriculture. Agriculture area then was rural, but part of the rural, but now it's ag area. So this could be an interesting discussion next month. So thank you for the information, Tara. Any other comments?
Yeah. My only question was, that wasn't the property that was being considered for a motel some years back. People came, was it, Tara?
Was, Mr. McKeon?
Pardon me?
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember, and I can't remember the discussion on it, but it didn't go well, but yeah.
They came in with a rezoning request. They wanted to rezone it to allow for that use, and that was denied.
Right.
Through the review process to take this parcel out of agricultural zoning. So they were looking for a complete rezoning. Now they're looking at a historic overlay in the agricultural area.
So this is a different party looking at this, I take it. then.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Ben King here from Quarry View Building Group, if I may.
Yes.
So just one important thing to note with the plan is the new building being proposed in the back is will be really in place of some of the additions that we're removing. So there's actually a net decrease of building footprint on the property. And the newer structure in the back will be an accessory use. But yeah, the property's been vacant since 2007 and is in pretty bad shape by now. There's people, there's squatters living in the house, and the doors and windows are busted in. So it's at a point where from here on out, it's going to deteriorate pretty rapidly since it's been vacant and not maintained for the past 15 or 14 years.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No.
Okay. Moving on to other business, none at this time. No listed announcements. Do we have any announcements? If nothing,
Just have one thing, just to ask Ralph or Tara, since Manhattan Township's no longer allowing the people to bring anything over to their compost, or is East Lampeter Township looking into doing something in that respect?
The supervisors at their last meeting authorized us to make an application to DEP for technical assistance. So we're currently waiting on a response on that. The technical assistance program that they run would provide consulting services to the township to look at all the options that might be available as far as handling the recycling of yard waste. So we're waiting for that response. That process will take several months, assuming that they do provide us with the assistance. But in the meantime, residents have the ability to get service from their own trash hauler for recycling yard waste, as well as the West Earl Township facility, compost facility, is available to our residents as well. So that's where we are with that.
anything else? Before I adjourn, I'd just like to note, if you look at your agenda, our meeting next month is moved to the new township building at 2250 Lincoln Highway East. I'm smiling. So please ignore that. We'll be back here at the same place. We had so much on Lincoln.
Is absolutely an error.
So, yeah, we talked so much Lincoln Highway. I think that was just in somebody's brain when they were typing this up. So we will be back at the same place. But with that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have the motion and the second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night.
Daryl.